Friends and enemies, welcome back to another episode of the CBP, number 173. My name's Joey, that's Len. Guaranteed neither of us are calling into events with AI voices, but I can't say the same for some of the people we'll be discussing tonight. Buddy, what's going on? How are you?
I'm very good. I'm well. I'm alive. Heart's beating. I'm able to walk around. I guess people could argue I'm not thinking for myself, but I like to debate that I am. So yeah, everything is great over here, Joey. Welcome back, by the way. You had a week off, and I want to thank Dean Linden for taking your place temporarily. And I'm not sure. I mean, I don't want to talk too much about it. I want to pass the mic over to you, but when you did the ad reads last week, I actually copied. You saw what I did or no?
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, I made sure you were still part of the show.
That's great. I appreciate it.
I can't just, I might as well include you in one way or another. I saw you in the audience briefly, but I had to make sure you were part of the show.
I really wanted to join the chat, and for whatever reason this year, we were up at the cottage, and there's like no service up there anymore. Like we couldn't even use Spotify one of the nights up there. So I was having trouble like listening in, and the video was pretty laggy, but no, Dean did a great job. I'm really glad that everyone enjoyed his appearance. He's always a good guy to have on the show. He's been a great friend to CBP over the years, and I look forward to seeing what he's going to do next. I think he's a guy that, everyone should be pulling for. Not too many guys who are honest brokers, strong men, family guys, et cetera, working in the Bitcoin space, right? Everyone's kind of, especially now as things are expanding, you're seeing a lot of people come in, I would say for the wrong reasons, but that's just my opinion. In any case, Dean, one of the best out there. We're glad he's able to help us out last week. And then, yeah, I mean, great. I had a great week off. I wish I didn't miss that week. Like that was the worst show to miss because I was at the cottage absolutely going full tin foil on people after 20 beers and a couple of mushroom stems. Like it was a mess. But we were having a good time. Everyone enjoyed the back and forth, the discussion. Always good to be with friends. So yeah, excellent. And I want to thank you again, Len, for making sure that everything was a go last week. And maybe our buddy Madex too. Madex was very low maintenance about his interview from the conference being delayed until last week, which was excellent. I know a lot of people enjoyed that. I got some great feedback about that show. So yeah, but we are reunited and it feels so good. Where do you want to start? You want to do the ads first?
Yeah, it's probably best, and we'll do the boost and whatever else.
Sure.
So
Easy DNS.
Oh no, I have it queued up. I could just do the one you did before. No, let's do
it live. Easy DNS, best place for you to host your domains. Your friendly neighborhood registrar. Marketing team, what can you say? We've used them for more than a year now for CanadianBitcoiners.com, which is gathering dust. But hopefully, we find some time to, spend some of our precious hours writing on there. I know you guys read it and enjoy it, and we're gonna try and do more of that. If you want to get into website, start something, Mark will help you. So you buy your domain with Mark or transfer one over if you want. Either way, you can do your virtual private server stuff over there. So if you want to do like BTC Pay Server, Bitcoin Relay, or Bitcoin Node, I should say, among other things, Nostr Relay, Nodeless, you name it. Many applications. Mark's probably got a million more he can help you with or help you think of. And then on top of that, Len, of course, your own personal email over there. Me and you do that show Access of Easy every week for Easy DNS. And every week someone's getting phished in their email, ripped off on their website, scammed through some kind of DNS shortcoming. Never happens to Mark. And it won't happen to you either if you bring your stuff over there. CBP Media is the code. Go now. Don't wait. Buy a domain. Maybe something like AIJoeBiden.com or DEIKamala.com or VicePresidentPritzer.com. or 45and47.com, or I don't know, toomuchslope.com, maybe. I don't know. There's many things you could buy. I'm sure they're all available, and maybe you could turn them for a profit down the road. Do all that stuff with Easy DNS. Who's the other sponsor?
Yeah, Bull Bitcoin, and price of Bitcoin went up quite a bit in the past little while, so maybe a good time to sell, good time to buy. Whatever the heck you want to do, they got you covered. On-chain, Lightning. Fees, I'm not sure. Actually, I haven't checked fees in a while. I'll be honest.
I'll check. I'll pull them up.
No, I can do it on the fly. And fees are still really cheap. Around 5 sats per VByte. That's awfully cheap. Consolidate your UTXO's topic for another time. Either way, if you're going to buy from Bull Bitcoin, certainly do it on chain. That's my 2 cents. Do your own research, though. It's not financial advice. Other exchanges, you see, they're having some problems, but Bull Bitcoin, they're still able to provide you the service because they provide the very best in service. It's non-custodial. When you buy it, they send it to your wallet right away. They're not holding on to your Bitcoin. This is what you want. But they also give a few other options available to you if you want to pay your bills with your Bitcoin, because the price of Bitcoin's gone up. You may want to take advantage of that because you bought it on a dip a long time ago. You could do that so you can start spending your Bitcoin through Bull Bitcoin to pay some of your bills. So if you have an electrical bill, car payment, whatever, anything you have. There's a lot of people that have a lot of these things in arrears right now, so you might as well get up to date and use your Bitcoin to pay for that. Other things you could do with it, you could buy gift cards and you could start spending that in the real world. So there's going to be a Home Depot gift card. You have to repair your house. You got more. You
live in Burlington, Ontario. Need to redo your basement after a couple of days.
Yeah, the floods. Yeah, so you could just use your Bitcoin to buy those gift cards. Or you're high society, you want to go to Starbucks and you want to get a $20 coffee. I have no idea how much they cost in real life, but either way, you could go through Bull Bitcoin, buy those gift cards with your Bitcoin, and you're good to go. Lots of different options. Use our promo code below, and if you do that, $21 is going to be added to your account once you fund it. Holy cow, 3 blocks were just found in the last 2 minutes.
Wow. Bitcoin's done.
As I was reading this ad,
Bitcoin's over. AI Joe Biden switching from calling into Kamala's, I guess campaign trail events to mining Bitcoin. AI truly multi-use. Is that HPC? Is AI Biden an HPC application? Are we going to see Iris Energy transitioning to AI Biden on demand when Bitcoin mining isn't profitable?
Request.
Kamala, Karine Jean-Pierre. Karine Jean-Pierre is out of a job if AI Biden, isn't around.
You don't think which station picked up the previous gal? Psaki?
Psaki, yeah, NBC, MSDNC.
So maybe they could pick up her as well. Like, I don't know, or maybe CNN or Fox, I don't know.
I'm getting the feeling that in the back half of this show, I'm going to be intolerably political, and I'm looking forward to it. So why don't we start with we go to the boost next? You want to do the boost?
Yeah, okay. We'll start with Rander 303 Sats. He writes in, there's no fucking way Trump and his team staged that. Way too many variables. Name me one person on planet Earth that is trusting anyone to fire a rifle multiple times at their head outside with civilians around. Don turned his head 90 degrees and moved it forward a split second prior to the bullet reaching him. Complete fluke, run 10 simulations of this event, and he dies the other 9 times. I wouldn't be surprised if one more attempt is made to kill him prior to November. The deep state is scary as fuck.
As long as the DEI Dorito guard is still heading up the Secret Service, then yeah, I would expect that too. I watched a bit of her testimony today in between my, sort of regular work tasks. And Len, I don't know if you saw it at all, but it was, I'm not the kind of guy who tweets like shocking this, or shocking XYZ. I got to tell you, I was close a couple of times listening to her testimony. A couple of things she said about that day and the way that the Secret Service didn't secure that event. Incredible. The sloped roof thing, like one of the senators, congressmen, I don't know. I got to brush up on my U.S. politics here as we head into the thick of election season. Noted that the roof the snipers were on actually had a steeper grade than the one that the Secret Service was saying was too sloped to place a sniper, and that they have no official policy on how sloped the roof can be or can't be.
It's subjective, depending on which way the sun is shining. Maybe the wind is blowing a certain direction. It just changes the whole thing. And there's so many dynamics to come into play. Plus, you may not have anybody that's willing. I'm too tired. I don't want to go up that ladder and shoot him down. Just let him do his thing. We'll get him from afar away. I don't know. The whole thing is messed up. And I don't know if we're ever going to get to the bottom of this. There seems to be a lot that is at play. Definitely more than we can truly fathom.
Oh, God. I tweeted some stuff today. I'm not even going to say it on the show because, yeah, Boomer in the chat, exactly. We'll both get Clintoned. But there's a group who did some location data, talk about another Axis of Easy story. These guys have location data from the guy's phone. And we're able to pin down a few phones they're pretty sure are involved with this kid, this 20-year-old kid. And some of the traveling these phones did, Len, I tell you, they weren't going to Toys R Us. They weren't going to Toys R Us. Anyway, yeah, lots of stuff to talk about when it comes to that incident. But maybe not for Len and I. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see how the second half of the show goes. Anyway, thanks for the boost.
Well, Zordon 313 sats. He writes in, or she writes in, cheers. Here's to getting filthy rich and dying in the arms of a beautiful woman. That was with respect to your Madex interview.
Yeah. I
Wartime.
mean, he's full of good quotes. I mean, I've talked to him now for a total, I think, on like between the first time he came on the show in the early spring, when he was, I think, a little less polished. You know, I hope he hears that. And then when we did the second one in my hotel room over a couple of tall boys, that was a really good show. And I think he was really feeling the love. And I mentioned it during that interview. I didn't listen back to it in its entirety, but a lot of love for that guy around the conference for a number of different reasons. Braving, you know, kind of fighting through the injury that he had, saying a lot of great things in our panel, and then just the like appreciation for the art that he makes. Incredible, man. He's been so humble through all of it. So yeah, I think I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. And he's got much more to say. I hope he finds his voice even more than he's started to already.
A lot of integrity too, considering what he gave up.
Yes.
When I say gave up, with not selling his soul, essentially.
Yeah, to the Bailey thing. Yeah.
I don't want to say that he did anything wrong. I think he did the right thing. But either way, Wartime 333 sats. He writes in Real News headline: a gross rat in New York rolled out a garbage bin.
Is he talking about Mayor Adams?
I do believe he's talking about him. But anyways, Mo BTC Dick 500 sats. Keep Dean coming. He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's welcome back on the show anytime.
100%. Yeah, he's the best. We like him a lot.
And Doom Damasm 521 sats. Thank you for your time. You're welcome. It's been a while since we heard from Doom. Mr. Damasm, you're always welcome to send over those sats. Thank you so much.
Housekeeping before we start. Tomorrow at I think 7 p.m., but it could be a different time. I have to look at my calendar. Michael Geist coming on. U of Ottawa professor. I want to call him a legal scholar. I don't know if he'd call himself that, but he should. Host of the Law Bites podcast, and I think fair but firm critic of some of the recent policy around digital media, freedom of speech, and things in that vein here in Canada. I promise you will not want to miss this one. We very rarely get bad guests, but when it comes to really top of the food chain, experts in their domain type people, Professor Geist is up there. And I'm really looking forward to talking to him. I'm glad that he took time to speak with to the audience here. So I'm looking forward to that. If you have questions, send them in. I'm happy to try and work him into the interview. It's going to be very, very good.
Anything else? Because I have no other things on my list of things to check off.
No, we're rolling. We need a guest for next week. It's a long weekend, so we're having trouble finding a guest. But we have 2 more bangers after the long weekend that I think you guys are really, really gonna like. Very topical. Huh?
Are you gonna join me for one of them?
Noam is on the 20th, right? He's like way back. I got 2 more solo ones before that.
Okay.
I'm gonna join you for Noam for sure.
That's gonna be a fun one. He's a fun guy to talk to.
Yeah, I got a lot of differing opinions, let's say. But I'll be polite. I mean, he's a quality member of the Bitcoin community, and I think he can handle it. He's a grown man by the sounds of it.
And I mean, I don't want to speak on his behalf, but he could defend himself easily. So yeah, bring whatever heat you want to bring, and he'll bring it and fight back. But in the end, we're all Bitcoiners. We're all trying to achieve the same thing.
Exactly.
But yeah. All right, you want to just dive right into the Bitcoin related stories? We got a few of them to talk about.
Let's roll.
Well, okay. First one, it will be kind of brief because I don't have all that much information. It just came hot off the wire today. In fact, with Swan, we heard what happened over there, in that they are not going to be moving forward with their managed mining business. So people that are unfamiliar with this, last year, sometime in the middle of last year, they announced that they got into Bitcoin mining. And that came out as a bit of a surprise, given that there was no news to the lead up of that story. So somehow through acquisitions and talking to people and partners, they were able to establish a fairly substantive mining operation. I think it was somewhere north of 1 exahash per second, which, if you in the grand scheme of things, is measurable. So with that, they had a mining business that they established. And you and I, we chatted about this at length as to the merits of this, why they would go about doing this. Because, let's be perfectly honest, it's not something you could just set up cheaply to purchase the equipment, to lead up to buy it. You have to order it well in advance, finding electricity that's available, setting it up. There's a lot to this. And what are the gains from all this? The reality is, it's not the most lucrative business to set up. Granted, it's Bitcoin adjacent business, but still, I'm wondering how this all fit. And when we talked about it, how it fit in with the whole Swan situation. Well, apparently they're going to be cutting back on that. Their IPO, which they were talking about going ahead with, looks like that, well, the idea of that has been shelved temporarily, permanently. Who knows? So, and they laid off a bunch of people today. I don't want to go through any names or anything, but a lot of people that were associated with Swan, be it media personalities or even people on the inside that were doing stuff like programming engineers, stuff like that. Essentially, they cut the business in half from around, I guess, 160 to around 80-ish employees.
Yeah,
that's what
70,
they have now.
73, I think, was the number I saw of layoffs.
That's significant. And
so
that happened really fast. So like, I talked about this in another chat with you. I still can't contemplate how they went into this mining business. They truly, there was miscalculations through here. Let's look at what happened in the past year or so. We've had a halving. Everybody knew about a halving. The people at Swan knew about a halving. The price of Bitcoin went up. You could have predicted that or not predicted that. Either way, that was outside everybody's control. There's no other variable that was included in this from what I could see. Maybe I could be wrong, because I don't see any new regulations that make Bitcoin mining harder or running a Bitcoin exchange any harder. I don't see any new taxes yet put on Bitcoin mining or running a Bitcoin exchange. So in terms of doing business, everything is pretty much the same last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago to it is today. So not much has changed. They must have overextended themselves significantly, and they must have not, their numbers, at least their predictions, were way, way off. And the result, now we have Swan. They're tightening their belt. Pacific Bitcoin's coming up in October. They're very much affiliated with that. I'm wondering if that
affiliated. They run it. It's their conference.
Yes, I was trying to be very, very. Yeah. So I'm wondering if that's also going to go ahead, considering they're scaling back their media spending. So again, I can't add too much to this because this is all relatively hot off the press. I'm sure you have some opinion you want to add to that.
Let's talk a bit about what we said back in January. And I have a clip here from Matt Odell. I don't know if he said it after us or before us, but I remember this clip when it came out, and I'm glad that our buddy Bitcoin Scribe found it today and tweeted it. So I have it ready to go here. A couple things I want to note too from the chat. Gandalf astutely pointing out that all the Swan accounts, media or otherwise, no longer have the $12,000 a month yellow check mark. Okay. So that was an expense they decided to cut, $12,000 a month. They didn't just cut guys like, I don't know, who's a good example? Like Livera, who was like, I think their head of education. I'm not sure what that means as far as a role, but in terms of his influence in the space, at least sort of on my journey and in my realm, it's a big name, bright guy, and a guy who's been a like enormous net positive for Bitcoin. Cut him loose. Sam Callahan, who hosts every Twitter space they do, their Swan dailies. He hosts all of them, I'm pretty sure, close to all of them. Was hosting almost every podcast Swan put out. Has a lot of friends in the space. Married to or engaged to Natalie Brunell, also works, I think, adjacent to Swan, with Swan, for Swan, whatever it is. That's a big cut. Tomer Strolight, Canadian, another guy who's, a friends of ours. I got his book right behind me there, the Why Bitcoin book. It's tough, and that's interesting to me that they cut those people along with some engineers, like you mentioned there. Mining is a cutthroat business, and our buddy SB has done a lot of work that he shared with us privately and shared with us and the listeners on the show. And every time I'm finished talking to him, whether it's offline or on the podcast, I'm always left thinking the same thing. And like you mentioned there, and I even think this without the data, but when you see the data the way he lays it out, it's really even more crystal clear. Mining is a nearly impossible game to break into. And to me, if I look at Swan, what do I see? I see God bless Corey. I think he's done a lot of good things, but I see a guy who really got carried away with image and media. He had that tweet a little while ago. What if you had $30 million to put into a media company or something like that? And Brandon pulled it up in one of our private chats today. And we had a bit of a giggle about it. And I shouldn't say giggle. I don't want people to get laid off, but this is all a little bit too predictable at this point. It's not the first time a company's got too far over their skis and made some mistakes in capital deployment, capital allocation, and maybe more importantly, like just human resource allocation, Anyway, going back to what I was saying earlier, there's a lot of stuff that I think is worth talking about on the mining side when it comes to Tether too. I don't think Tether's a bad actor. So SB, don't get upset here and flood the comments or flood our Telegram chat. I don't have a problem with Tether, but I will say that Tether now, my understanding is they gave Swan some big amount of money to start this mining venture in what I can only imagine was a trade for a portion of the equity of the company. That to me sounds about right. I don't know exactly what the portion was, but to me, it sounds about right. So now you don't have the mining company, and Tether owns a huge part of one of the major American exchanges / media outfits. They didn't get rid of all the media, but they did get rid of a bunch. That's weird a little bit. Like Tether now is sort of on the exchange side, and if you believe people like Mark Goodwin and Whitney Webb and other people who we've had on the show, Len, have this belief too that Tether is going to wind up being sort of the nation state bridge between Bitcoin and politics. It's not great to have Tether on board with a big exchange like that. Putting all that aside, let's watch this clip about the fundraising that Swan did or maybe didn't do, and the capital allocation they did or didn't do. This is what I was talking about here from one of Matt and Marty's shows back in January. And like I said, we talked about this too, but not in as much detail as these guys had. Obviously, we're not quite that inside.
Okay, so this press release a month ago said they deployed $150 million in 2023. 1031 deployed $100 million in early 2023, 2022, and late 2021 to 36 companies that are all listed on our website. Those founders come to retreats. They talk to each other. Everyone knows who they are. There's a lot of validation that money was actually went to support Bitcoin companies. Swan is claiming they deployed more than that, and nobody knows anywhere where that money went. I haven't even been able to source $500K worth of that $150 million to someone that can vouch for it. What else do they say? They're well on the way of meeting their target of allocating $1 billion by 2025.
It just doesn't make sense.
Just throw out that bullshit number. And then we keep going. In 2023, in the bottom of the bear market, with rates at all-time highs, all-time highs for 20 years, with VC funding completely dried up, money very hard to reach, they claim they raised $195 million. And I don't know a single investor. If you're one of them, let me know. Haven't been able to find one. The company expects to cross $200 million annualized revenue in Q1 2024, and plans to raise an additional $150 million because that $195 million can't cover the bills. So they're going to raise another $150 million next year. That $200 million revenue number does not add up based on what we see in the space. It doesn't even come close to adding up. And we have not been able to get any explanations. So to me, I see red flags everywhere. To me, I see many people just blindly following Corey here and being afraid to speak up. And I hope more people speak up. Or I hope we get some real answers here. So
these guys, in terms of like what's next for Swan, clearly there's a management issue there. To put out those numbers, 200 million in profit in the annualized through Q1 of this year, way off the mark. Already had 200 million raised, and they needed to raise another 150. All while fees were very high, so the mining should have been somewhat profitable. All while price was ripping from 15K or 20K all the way up to 75 during the same time period. Not only could they not keep the mining thing open. Not only could they not keep the ship afloat, they had to cut half the fucking boat off and let it sink. You think they make it another 2 years?
No, I
Not
wouldn't.
Not with the current management. No fucking
Well-
chance. No fucking chance. You are not gonna get the same level of interest and new eyes and price appreciation at the same time that you just got over the last 6 months between the ETF. I guess it's almost August now. Oh my God, this year's flying. Between the ETF, the price appreciation, say that 10 times fast, among other things. I don't think it's feasible or likely or even possible that with that group of management.
Well, no, I just thought about it. Maybe they could be around for quite some time. It really depends on how much belt tightening they do. I can't say for certain because I don't know. But in terms of overhead, if you really want to go lean and mean, how much spending do you have to do to run?
They took the fucking yellow check mark off the Twitter account.
They're doing a bunch of things like that. Bitcoin, and again, I want to give Scribe credit here. He noted that around 1:15, there was around 16 Bitcoin jobs that Swan had posted.
Yeah.
15 minutes later, they had 0. So
that was today. So 1:15 p.m. today, there was 16 jobs on Bitcoiner jobs for Swan. And then what was it? Half an hour later, you said they're all gone.
So they acted swiftly to make sure everything was done to tighten belts. Now, if they want to continually go down this path and stay like that, I'm not sure how much salary they're paying people. I'm not sure in terms of what they're building under the hood. But if they want to go lean and mean, maybe they can survive. It really depends on how much they want to stomach, how the tight times ahead. If they want to go ahead and forego salary, if they want to go ahead and maybe forego rolling out something that they had planned and just go strictly, whatever they're doing right now, maybe they could survive just on their name alone. But I don't know. We'll see. And again, with their association with Tether, is this going to muddy the waters as well?
I don't know.
Question I don't have an answer for.
I'm being told in our private chat here that the check mark Len is $12,000 in annual cost reductions, not per month. So that to me is like, that's really pinching pennies. That is really pinching pennies at the cost of your public facing, I don't know, legitimacy is the wrong word, but certainly it affects the way people view you.
So in terms of the podcasts that they were sponsoring, and I don't want to go into numbers.
Who are they sponsoring?
You've mentioned, was it Livera they're sponsoring?
Livera was being sponsored by them, yeah, but he worked for them. So I don't know how much they would.
Okay, fair. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. So in terms of the ones that maybe they're sponsoring, do you think that blue check mark was a greater number or lesser number than what you're paying for? Like, I don't know. I mean, if they're cutting back this, they're cutting back. So,
I mean, we're probably smaller than Livera's show. So
significantly, yeah.
It's actually not significant. Last I talked to someone who knows, but yeah, but I still think like really depends, because the thing is they were running and All Caps is pointing this out too, right? Like they had so many media partnerships, but All Caps, the thing I would say is that how many of those were partnerships and how many were just like, we'll take this podcaster and make them do a show for Swan. A great example is Natalie Brunel's Hard Money, right? She was doing Hard Money for Swan, which Gandalf again pointed out to me today that hasn't been released in a long time. So I don't know what the partnerships look like. I don't know what the accounting looks like. I don't know what the balance sheet looks like, but I do know that if they were off by that much during what should have been a fairly simple time to keep the ship floating, I can just imagine what the next bear market's going to be like, man. I don't know what to say about that. I think Corey.
Do they make more money in a bear market because maybe more volume?
I don't know.
But maybe not. I don't know.
Well, here's my question, right?
Because if there's a spread on every buy and sell they make, regardless if it's 50,000 or 50,000, that spread is
Corey's been really vocal. Actually, he did it on this show. He's very vocal about people making bad decisions in the name of image, right? In the name of growing their profile. And is it fair to say that he really sort of fell on the sword here a little bit in terms of that, that way of looking at things. I mean, he gave it to Pomp pretty good. We had a clip go somewhat viral early in the CBP sort of lifetime. And I look at the clips of like Pacific, it's him shooting 3-point shots. He's on major news networks. He's the face of the franchise in a lot of ways. And, again, like Bull is a sponsor, so I don't want to say anything too biased here, but like when you see Francis's face on TV or on YouTube or on Twitter, what's he doing? He's talking about Bitcoin, and he's talking about like the mission and the Bull Bitcoin ethos and what makes this thing tick, both in terms of like the network and in terms of his company. Did you see that from Corey? No. You see it from Armstrong?
No, but he's more of a personality because.
But that's what I'm saying. He was critical of those types.
Right, but he was IPOing, and once you go down that path.
So okay, here's another question for you. Why stop the IPO attempt now? Like presumably they need money now. Bitcoin still has a lot of popularity. Crypto broadly has popularity. Isn't this the time to look for outside money?
So the people that were probably helping them do the IPO were probably hoping that they were going to make quite a lot more because the valuation of the company would be significantly higher. And since it took a massive haircut since then, the company that's administering this IPO is probably not going to make as much, and they're not going to put their name alongside it or do the hard work. So it just probably isn't worthwhile for them. And so I mean, it's total speculation on my part. I could be. And
who's there? We were talking in another chat today. I don't know if it was the one that you and me are in with like all the boys there, or it was the other one that I'm in. They wanted a CFO about a year ago to help them go public. Corey was very public about that. And I don't know if they ever hired one, but Scribe and SB for sure were looking today, and they couldn't find who the CFO was anything. So they never even filled that position then?
I can't say. I don't
know either. I don't know. Interesting times, man. I wish all those Swan guys the best. And, I hope they turn it around. I think I may not agree with all the tactics and means, but I think it's a good thing to have Bitcoin companies who are Bitcoin only. And those guys are indisputably, Bitcoin only. So let's see what happens, I guess.
It's a tough business to be in.
No shit.
Let's talk about Craig Stephen Wright, because he's not Satoshi Nakamoto.
No.
And these are not my words. No. I'm just reading what is written on his website. On his splash page, you go to
and
Craig
his Twitter,
Wright
and his Twitter page.
His Twitter page. So you go on these things, you can see it says Dr. Craig Stephen Wright is not Satoshi Nakamoto. Again, not my words. It's on his webpage. It's on his Twitter splash page. It's on there. So either way, it also reads that Dr. Wright is not the author of the Bitcoin white paper. He's not the not the owner of the copyright in the Bitcoin white paper. He's not the person who adopted or operated under the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto between the period 2008 and 2011. He's not the person that created the Bitcoin system, and he's not the author of the initial versions of Bitcoin software. That's what you call owned. And this is all a result of a recent court case in the United States, Copa versus Craig Wright, or the reverse, Craig Wright versus Copa. I forget which way it is. But either way, the judge imposed a ruling that he must display the message that I wrote on his website for a period of 6 months. For a person, let's be honest, he portrays himself to be a very proud individual, right? This has got a fucking sting, and it's got to hurt really fucking bad. And remember, he made a lot of people very, very unhappy, and they put a lot of people through the ringer because he's rather litigious, right? In the past few years, he's put a lot of people through court cases. I'm looking at people like Peter McCormack, Hodlnut, and a bunch of other people as well.
Chilling effect on the development community overall. Very chilling effect. Yeah.
And remember, some of the Bitcoin developers decided to leave, and then I guess they went anonymous. But either way, he hasn't been, this is for, one would say, not very good for what's going on. So this whole judgment by the Judge Mellor, I believe is the name, and had him forcibly put this in his website is pretty damn funny. But anyways, I don't think this is the last time we're going to hear from him. I think that he's going to come back in one way or another, but at least for the time being, enjoy what we have.
Why did we have to go through this? Like, just because this guy refuse to admit something that everyone outside of the BSV crowd already knew to be true?
I think a lot of people even in that crowd even acknowledge what
They're just holding the bag, you think? Yeah.
A lot of people, I think, are just, there's a lot of hopium there that maybe the price of the coin will.
The courts didn't do their job in this until the very end of the line. I don't know Huddle, not personally. I've never interacted with him on Twitter. I know we offered to give him, a chunk of change for his legal defense. He turned it down. So I assume and hope that he's doing okay. But yeah, Boomer in the chat. I look forward to never hearing his name again either. The question is, Len, like, how does he remain relevant now? Does he is there a move? Like, because now, legally, I think he can't just go around saying that he's Satoshi. He can't suggest he was part of the dev team. He can't suggest that the million coins are his. He
but slanderous.
Transactions. Something
that's slanderous. You don't have to say that he's not Satoshi. You could say something, not saying I'm saying this, but if one person says you're a fucking idiot, that's slanderous, right?
Just some person, yeah.
Just because the way that the laws are set up in the UK, he could take them to court. So and as long as he has somebody willing to back him, and I'm not sure if that person's going to continually back him, then these things can continually go on. But once that money train runs dry, and it may have already, I don't know, then we'll probably stop hearing from him. But
yeah, I mean, all caps always knows. He's in the chat saying he's been referred to the Attorney General for prison consideration. How do you do that? Is there like a form? I got some people I'd like to refer to the AG for prison consideration.
No, but
is there a form? What is it? Like an online? Is it in the same place where they do feedback on CBDCs? Is it the same, like just a different link? Where is it?
No, the allegation is that he lied in court. And so because of that, then he's going to have to be subjected to some sort of sentence. Oh, well.
Good luck, Craig. Been nice knowing you.
So for home miners out there, there's a new BitAxe that has been revealed just recently. It's called the BitAxe Hex. And this comes with 6 BM1370 chips. And those are the chips found in the Antminer S21 Pro setup. So that was the relatively recently released ASIC from Bitmain. With this configuration, it allows the new BitAxe Hex to hit 6 terahash per second and at a power efficiency of 15 joules per terahash. So those, with respect to the power, very respectable efficiency numbers. The 6 terahash, it's not going to earn you all that much, maybe 500 to 600 sats a day. My math could still not be right, but that's almost how much you're going to get. So you could, with what I provided everybody here, one could do the math to see how much you're going to earn based on the electricity consumption and how much you're going to be paying for that electricity. But also take into consideration the cost of buying the equipment. And I tried looking around for the price of the unit. Decentral has a coming soon page listed, so there's no price there. But I did found another vendor did list it for $400 US.
Yeah, Tiny Chip Club, right?
I can't remember the name of that.
I'm pretty sure. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah.
Okay, $399.
Yeah, it's 400. Yeah.
So there you go. If that's the price, it's, say what you want, steep, not steep, whatever the heck it is, that's the price of this unit. You'll never make your money back, even if you get power for free. And, you got like this perfect setup. You'll never get it back. This is a great tool just to learn about mining, maybe even contribute to the overall system, but really you're not going to earn a lot. And if you're going to solo mine, you're going to get nothing in the end. Still a really cool device. I would love to talk to Jonathan about Decentral a little bit more about this, because there's been a lot of development on the BitAxe side since he's last been on the show. But nonetheless, if anybody wants it, check it out. It should be coming in a not too distant future. It should be available on a lot of different websites.
We should bring him back on, because I do still want to talk to him about his sort of longer term views on something like the BitAxe and just the model, right? Like, I'm in the camp, and I know he's in the camp because we spoke to him, that home mining has to make a return. The question is, can home mining ever become the sort of default expectation for Bitcoiners? The same way that right now running a node and having a hardware wallet is a default expectation. Is it ever going to be the case where part of your onboarding, official, unofficial, whatever, is spend $200, whatever these things cost in 5 years. I don't know. Spend $200 and get a miner, get a little guy, get something to contribute, put it up. It's like a badge of honor, whatever. I don't know. I think I still think it's cool. I haven't bought one. I've been meaning to get one from Decentral, but I haven't gotten around to it. I'd be open to suggestions, Len. Like, which one do you think is the one for me to learn the ways of the network on? Do we have some treasury money? With our fiscal year ends in like 5 weeks, so we got to spend some money here. Maybe we can
get the cheapest bid axe you can find, just if you really want. But I don't think it has anything like, it won't be part of your onboarding kit. Mining is a totally different thing. That it does contribute to, depending on the pool you use, it could contribute to the overall security in a very, very small way. But that's all it does.
Yeah.
The node part is the most important thing, I would say, because it gives you the ability to broadcast your transactions without relying on somebody else, and it gives you the ability to verify that whatever Bitcoin you've received is indeed received. So those two things, by running a node, is the best thing you could do. And there's a lot of different options you could do with running a node. You can even run it on your everyday computer, as long as you have the storage. You don't have to run it all the time, and just close it down and just resync it whenever you need it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's lots of different options available to people, but that's the more important thing. But I think it's a harder sell, in my opinion. What do you get out of it?
Yeah, all caps in the chat saying running a node is free and more powerful than running a home miner. Agree, disagree?
For sure. It gives you so much more power. You're voting with your computer which network, which chain, which whatever it is you're supporting. That's what you want to run. That's what you want to support. That's what you're verifying. And nobody could take that away from you, because you have the ability to run that software and keep it up. Nobody could tell you to take it down and change it. That's your choice.
Yeah, I'm getting paid.
So it's very powerful
out here for not running a node. Okay, let's go on to the next story.
We'll get you on.
JP
Morgan. Yep. They did a study on U.S. publicly traded Bitcoin miners, and 14 tracked Bitcoin miners that are traded on U.S. exchanges. And it's estimated that they make up around 26% of the overall hash rate. So of the 14 publicly traded miners in U.S. exchanges, they make up 26% of the overall Bitcoin hash rate, which is, apparently, according to JP Morgan, this is a new record high. And this does not take into consideration privately owned operations like what Bob Burnett's running, or even garage mining setups, which probably contribute almost fuck all to network, but still, death by 1,000 cuts, it probably adds up to something. But not all companies that are publicly traded in the United States operate 100% in U.S. soil. Like, some data centers they have are outside. Marathon, for instance, they're expanding outside the U.S. quite a bit these days. Even mining a shitcoin since 2023. That's just something else to consider. But either way, so I just look at this number. That's pretty interesting, because in terms of the hash rate itself has been kind of flattish in the past couple of months, right? And since the halving, it's only been up 5.6%, and 2.4% since June. So, it's not going nuts. So 26% of the overall hash rate just attributed to publicly traded miners. We have HPC opportunities that are now in a mix. It's a new stream of revenue. So I'm wondering now if that number 26% is going to be sustained, because now they have this new opportunity to make money, potentially more. I don't know. And if that's the case, then they're less apt to mine Bitcoin and go with something else that provides them a better rate of return. So good, bad, I don't know. It's just something I found to be rather interesting.
You need radical price appreciation. Man, am I fucking up that word a bunch tonight? Having a Biden moment here. You need radical price appreciation to romance miners into staying on the network and mining. And part of the allure, I think, of Bitcoin mining for a lot of these guys when the price is depressed is that they know the hop is coming. That 50, 60% month, that 100% quarter is coming. And I gotta be honest, it feels like we've been knocking on the door a few times here over the last 4 or 5 months. We get to 72, then to 75, but we never really see the punch that we got in 2020, which is the halving that a lot of these miners are comparing it to. And I think a lot of Bitcoiners are comparing it to as well. I know I do this even against my better judgment. You know, I still remember going from 3,000 in the COVID low to 20K, you know, later in that December. And then before you knew it, it was 69K. And I think March for the first time or April for the first time. You know, you get these monster moves over the course of a few months. And that potential, you know, keeps you coming back to the trough as a miner, especially when there's no other alternative in terms of uses for your hardware and your, maybe more importantly, your power. With this other constant flow of power supply or power demand, I should say, vis-a-vis AI, it's hard for a miner to justify staying on Bitcoin when the reward is significantly lower, or the allure has faded, or investors don't understand Bitcoin and want to see more AI in terms of the piece of the pie and the power application or power distribution. All these things make it difficult. This is why when we, you know, you and I have talked about this a lot over the years, and I think we're going to be talking about it more and more. I actually messaged Dan Roberts of Iron to see if he wanted to come on the show. He never wrote me back. I should just email him. But the thing I would say is, like, you know, the miners, you're going to see who's really a Bitcoin miner and who's a power, or who considers himself a power allocator. Am I worried that Ben Gagnon is going to, you know, stiff his investors and stiff his board and stiff his, you know, CFO like we had on a couple of weeks ago, and say, yeah, listen, I know we're a Bitcoin mining company, but there's more money to be made in HPC. It's, in my view, as a Bitcoiner, is short-sighted, because the short-term allure of price appreciation is not the thing that should keep you in the game as a Bitcoin miner. It's your conviction that over 5 years, nothing is going to perform better. And the people asking you to draw pictures of AI Joe Biden with Kamala Harris and Montel Williams in the background of the Oval Office is not a sustainable business model. And by the way, you know, JP Morgan, Goldman, a lot of these companies and a lot of these big banks just came out almost in unison last week or the week before saying this AI thing is overblown. You know, it doesn't do a good job replacing low cost work. It doesn't do a good job replacing high cost work. And everything it does costs 20 times more than it should. Not only that, but these companies who've deployed something in the neighborhood of like $5 trillion, something like that over the last 5 years in chips, they're not seeing any returns for that invested capital. And if you invested that capital anywhere else, you know, these boards, these CEOs would all be terminated. You know, and so to me, I think that's actually a likely outcome, that AI flounders and fizzles and people get tired of it, and universities start to crack down on it, as they have many other things over the years. It seemed like these panaceas of, you know, scamming the system, improving responses, whatever. The medical profession, same thing. I don't see this thing as the golden goose that everyone else sees it as. And I'm, you know, shocked actually that a lot of these banks, most of whom I disagree with on almost everything, seem to have the same view. But, you know, then I think about it even for like me and you, you know, me and you try and use it for the show once in a while, or did when we first started the website. It fucking sucks. You get like a summary of something, a subject matter back. It sucks. You end up having to rewrite it and re-research it anyways. That's part of the reason that maintaining a website is so fucking hard when you have a full-time job, plus the podcast, plus kids, plus social commitments, plus all this stuff. You can tell that, you know, I don't want to call like Marty and Matt out, but like, if you look at the stuff on Marty and Matt's website, on TFTC's website, it's fucking AI. A lot of it looks like AI. And, you know, it is what it is. But to me, the miners have to realize that the allure, it has to be the same now as when it brought you in. This, you know, world-changing asset class that you're early on, you can educate on, you can get in on the ground floor, you can own some, you'll be able to deploy that capital later. You can build out power relationships, build out hardware relationships, set up logistics that make sense for your company and for your shareholders, not, you know, stupid AI photos and stuff like that. That's not it, man. And it's not going to be it in 5 years. And you and me talked about this, and I talked about it with, oh God, I can't remember his name. Jeff Lucas from Bitfarms too. You know, they view HPC as part of the pie, but it's Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin over there at Bitfarms. And I think a lot of these other companies are going to regret seeing things, on a shorter time horizon for the moment.
People that don't have a short time horizon, they're looking very long, are the Mt. Gox creditors. These guys have been waiting for their payday for about a decade or so. It looks like some people are getting notifications and getting issues of people logging into the portal, the Mt. Gox portal, because it was showing an error saying it was temporarily down for maintenance. So this is getting interesting, Joy. There's a reason why it was temporarily down for maintenance, because one Redditor user was getting notification one time 22 incorrect login attempts, and another person 15 incorrect login attempts. So it looks like people or somebody or hackers, whomever, trying to brute force into people's accounts. It's a way to get access to it and potentially drain the accounts. Because if you think about it, the email addresses in order to log in, that should be publicly available. It doesn't take much effort, I think, for somebody to really find this, to see the names of individuals and emails associated with the account, and use that and try just to brute force your way in. They're saying people that have two-factor authentication, 2FA accounts, are probably slightly safer, but nothing is bulletproof. So they are saying, though, that the creditors should be safe as long as they have the 2FA, but there is a potential here that people might be Mt. Goxed again. Imagine going through this. And if this happens, it's not like they're going to be able to go to court and get it. This is somebody hacked into it, right? This is pathetic. And I feel bad for the people waiting, but make this be a lesson for people out there. Never leave your Bitcoin on an exchange. If you do, look what happens here. A decade later, they're still trying to get their Bitcoin, and they're getting pennies in a dollar. So do yourself a favor, learn how to use something like a cold card, properly secure it, offline, cold storage, whatever you want to call it. That is the way moving forward. Don't be like one of these people. Use them as an example.
It's ridiculous, man. I mean, what? How is it possible that Mt. Gox's security suite has not been beefed up, given that they have, I think last I checked, 140,000, something like that, Bitcoin? What is that worth at 70K per Bitcoin? A lot. The answer is a lot, 300 billion, something like that. I don't know what the number is, but it's fucking high. And, these guys are, they're incompetent, aren't they? What else can he say? How can there be 22 attempts? If I fuck up my Amazon password once or twice, I'm locked out until I can go back to my phone and get the whatever, the rolling 2FA thing, that's to me, if you can't figure that out at Mt. Gox, you got a problem. And also, to your point, one of the reasons Bull is such a good exchange is because not only do they have this, non-custodial ethos, but as part of your process, they'll show you how to put together an offline wallet, a cold card, you name it. Their support team will help you. And again, they're sponsored, blah, blah, blah. Joey, quit pumping their bags. I mean, I used Bull before they were a sponsor. So it's not like, I had to open a new account when they became sponsors of the show. I think all competent Bitcoiners need to be using these exchanges. And, to me, Len, getting Mt. Gox a second time, what's the saying? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, won't get fooled again.
I love throw a shoe at you next time, Joey, and you can dodge it.
That was when politics was much more serene and respectful. Only shoes are being thrown.
Or you're looking through the binoculars with the thing still on. Different time. I guess we have time for one more.
Yeah, sure.
BlockFi users who got rugged may soon start getting a portion of what they're owed. So it's being reported that the first distribution of digital assets will be taking place this month, and talking about July 2024. And Coinbase is going to be involved in the process. You must be liking that, Joey, because are you still an investor in Coinbase? So
yes.
There you go. So this is good news. We're pumping their bags too. So yours too as well. So remember, BlockFi was part of the 2022 collapse that took place. FTX, Voyager Digital, a few others. So
Three Arrows.
Yeah.
Maybe that was maybe a little after, but yeah.
Luna, but that was not even an exchange. It was just a shitcoin. Either way. So the distribution of this, it's going to be done in tranches, and clients will be receiving emails before this takes place. But as for BlockFi, it says here, quote, non-US clients are unable to receive funds at this time due to regulatory requirements applicable to them. So rugged again if you're not non-US client. But then I don't know, did BlockFi service people outside the US? I'm not sure. I never tried it, so I can't say, but I thought it was US only, but either way, I could be wrong. It is what it is. BlockFi users, at least the ones that got rugged, it looks like you're going to be getting some of your money back. So good for you.
I guess. Yeah. BlockFi. Nice one. Rocket ship. Hop on board. What's Zach Prince doing these days? Shouldn't that guy be in jail? He's their CEO,
Zach
right? I
Popper?
think. No, Prince. Zach Prince is their CEO.
Zach Popper.
What's that?
Zach, he's no longer Prince. He's now Popper, right?
I don't know.
He's from the penthouse to the outhouse, right? Like,
Okay, I got to bring something up here. There's a guy in the chat who I've never seen before, X, who says that Ledin collapsed and got an injection from investors to plug the hole. I don't think that actually happened.
I've never talking about somebody else. No,
he's talking about Ledin, and I like Maurizio. Maurizio came on the show and told us what was going on, and
apparently they did.
All caps says it did. I don't know. I gotta find out more, but I've never heard that story before, so maybe. But yeah, I mean, going back to BlockFi, listen, I mean, you're using any service where someone else is holding your coins for you, and you're getting whatever interest, feedback, yield, you call it whatever you want. There's risk there. If you hold your coins on an exchange, there's risk there. The only way you can really be sure that your Bitcoin is in safe hands is if those hands belong to you. And if you don't do that, then you're asking for this kind of trouble down the road. And I think we talked about this in the past too, Len. I would love to go back in some of our old episodes and sort of review what we said, but we must have noted that, when the price of Bitcoin, we did this show for a long time when the price of Bitcoin was like $10,000, $12,000, and yeah, like when FTX went down, it went down to like 15 grand, right? So maybe that was the lowest. Maybe that was the lowest
we've been.
We always said that you have to buy and hold and secure, and we're not the only ones who do this. MVK says this all the time too. You have to buy and hold and secure like you are worth 10 times more than what you're buying, because that's the end game here. And I think that's good advice. You got to ask yourself, what's your risk tolerance for stuff like this? In my opinion, probably it should be 0. You should be storing all your own stuff, regardless of where you're buying it.
I agree 100%. Why risk it? It makes no sense to do it, especially when looking at what's going on with fiat currency. Anyways, that's it for the Bitcoin related stuff, Joey. We got lots to talk about in notable news.
Do we ever? Okay. Great. Stay here if you're on video. If you're on audio, see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming. And Len, get us out of here.
Don't be a cock.